If you'd also pay attention to the social media followings that we have, or the social media sites that we have with Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. These are wonderful locations and areas where you can get some up-to-date information as far as what SoCal CCIM is providing our members in the Institute, along with stay up to date with all the different programs that we have. And so it's a good place, and our following is definitely growing. So if you haven't checked it out, you definitely want to check it out. Also want to give recognition to our board of directors. My name is Gary Martinez. I'm with Asheville Associates. I'm a president of our SoCal CCIM, and it's a real honor to be part of SoCal CCIM. And it really feels as if we've been a leader in the commercial real estate industry within our area. I also want to recognize Eric Frickel, Bonnie Brown, Justin Hugren, Nita, Willem Hugren, Brian Russell, Dino Champagne, Greg Deal, and Tony Ayub. And so just want to thank each of our board members, because each of them spend a lot of time making sure that we're bringing the content that is relevant for all of our members. So thank you to our board members. Also want to give recognition to our SoCal CCIM sponsors, and want to thank them very much, because there's no way we could do the things that we do without the sponsors and without their support. And so what I'd like to do is have each of our sponsors come in and talk a little bit about themselves and about the services that they have. And so everyone should be on here and be able to speak. And so why don't we go ahead and start off with Mr. Daniel Munoz.
Good morning, everybody. Can you guys hear me okay?
We hear you good. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. My name is Daniel Munoz. I am a commercial lender with CDC Small Business Finance. We are a nonprofit organization that specializes in SBA lending for real property, as well as working capital and community advantage lending as well. Been around for about 40 years, and myself personally, I've been in the commercial real estate space through various institutions, for the last 9 years. So we are here to be a good resource to anybody if they have questions in regards to SBA financing, specifically in the SBA 504 program, whether it be straight purchases, refinances, and refinances with expansion. So we are here to be an outlet for everybody that's joining the webinar.
Daniel, thank you so much for your support. We greatly appreciate it. And so let's go to Sean Pullen with AIR. Sean.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Hear you fine, Sean.
Perfect. So AIR, as many of you know, we support the community with our contracts, as well as our listing services and other tools that we offer. One thing I want to mention on the call today is some of the town halls that we have been doing. There have been a lot of really great sessions we have been putting together with some industry professionals. There is one coming up next week on July 30th, which is next Thursday. It's at 10 a.m. You can find all of the information on our website. If you go to AIRCRE.com and then under the events and sponsorship section, the very first option there about the CA legislative issues will give you some description of what we're going to be talking about. It's going to cover some of the Prop 15 information that is giving an update for things related to COVID-19, and then a follow-up on SBA 939. So there's good details that will be presented in that, allow you to ask some questions if you have them as well. I also want to make sure that you are aware that we do record these sessions. They are all available on our website as well. If you go again, AIRCRE.com, and then into the news and education section, you can see all of the past town halls there recorded. I highly recommend the one from June 25th, which was an economic town hall, and it was with Spencer Levy of CBRE, who is a very brilliant man and had a lot of really important things to say about how our economy is shaping up and how we are moving forward. Again, if you do want, just check out one of those. That is the one that I recommend. It is great information. But thank you all for allowing me to be here.
Thank you, Sean. And I would agree. I mean, the town halls that AIR puts on, I mean, they're second to none. And so thank you for all your work and also providing wonderful information to our industry. And so with that, let's go to Mr. Kim Tran with CoStar.
Hey, everybody. My name is Kim Tran. I'm the Orange County representative here for CoStar and LoopNet. I just wanted to, for those of you who know us, you know, we're happy that you guys are currently clients of ours, and I would recommend, if you have any questions about the platform, if you haven't used it in a while, please reach out to your rep or reach out to me. We've added a lot of new features to the platform. For those of you who are not familiar with us, we're the #1 commercial real estate data provider. We have all the listings. We have information on all properties, whether they're on the market or not. We also run LoopNet, which is the #1 most visited website for commercial real estate tenants or investors looking for space to lease or buy. If you have any questions about any of that, please reach out to me. Also, a big topic for today's meeting is 10X, and we just acquired 10X. We completed the acquisition a few weeks ago, and so you'll be hearing a lot more from Jim about that today, and I might chime in a little bit as well.
Wonderful. Kim, thank you so much for everything you do for us. I appreciate it. And so let's go to Dino Champagne with asset preservation. Dino.
Hi, Gary. Hi, everybody on this Zoom. Asset preservation, we're a national 1031 qualified intermediary. We have been facilitating exchanges since 1990 and have done over 190,000 exchanges nationwide. Thing I want to focus on today is that the rumors are getting out there. I had an email prior to this meeting here. I heard that the email read, I heard that the Fed is eliminating 1031s. That's not accurate, and so I had to respond. But what you do have to keep your eyes out for is the presumptive Democrat candidate, Joe Biden, is talking about, as a part of his platform, if he were to be successful at the presidency, is going to be raising taxes to the tune of roughly $4 trillion. Needless to say, real estate is going to be a part of that. 1031s definitely could be on the radar for elimination in order to achieve that goal of raising the taxes. Now, with that being said, as an industry, the Federation of Exchange Accommodators, along with a lot of other trade industries, are out there educating the Democrat congressional members about 1031s and the benefits of them. So keep that on the radar, that this is something that's being talked about. We've been to this rodeo many times before. Well, hopefully we'll still stay on the bull. So with that being said, I hope everybody's doing well. And I saw the best meme ever, about 2020. And it says, remember, we're halfway through this, but remember the New England Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons were winning 28-3 toward the end of the third quarter, but who came back to win? So let's hope that we have a successful balance of 2020.
That's great. Thank you so much. And thank you for
like
everything you do for our chapter. Yeah, I love it. Yes.
Okay.
Wonderful. All right, let's go to Mr. John Baker with Baker Law Group. John.
Hello. Good to be here. I'm glad to see so many people are here with us. My name is John Baker, and I'm a real estate attorney. And there's a couple things that I focus on. One is that I review and I create loan documents. So if any of your clients are curious about what that really says, that 1-inch thick of documents, I can explain it to them, and I won't kill the deal. The other thing that I focus on is I clean up title. So there may be liens in the way of your closing a deal. And that could be an easement, it could be a trustee that never got reconveyed, all kinds of things like that. I can help you with that. I just closed a escrow on July 15th, which was, as Dino knows, was the last day for many people to close their 1031 exchanges. It felt like holding sand together in my fingers to get the thing through. My client said it was nothing but less than a hat trick to get that thing closed. So we've done that tranche, and now we're on to our second tranche, and I'm sure I'll be busy through September with that one. Thanks very much, and I appreciate you letting me talk to you.
No, thank you, John. I mean, you've been wonderful for our chapter, so thank you for everything you do. We greatly appreciate it as well. And so, Coast to Coast Escrow, I know Kip Kennedy is unable to join us today, and so a little plug for him is that we wanted to thank him as well for all his services. I know a lot of us within our chapter have used Kip along with Brenda Burnett at Coast to Coast Escrow, and they've been wonderful for myself. I know for a lot of people within our chapter as well. And so I wanted to give a big thanks to Kip Kennedy and Brenda Burnett they certainly help us out with the escrow process, when we when we greatly need it. And so their business is maintaining themselves, and they're open for business. And so if anyone has any questions for Brenda Burnett or Kip, they're available. And so again, also want to thank them for everything that they do for our chapter. And so with that, let's go to Ken with Platinum Wealth Group. Ken.
Hey, Gary, thanks for having me on this afternoon, and hello everybody that's out there. So I'm Ken Cladoris with Platinum Wealth Group, and we offer a 1031 exchange solution for your clients that either can't locate a new property or don't want to deal with the headaches that could be coming down the pipeline in California for real estate owners, and would prefer a passive investment that just provided them income. So that's what we do. Again, it's a 1031 exchange, and then you do that into a Delaware statutory trust. So if you have any clients that are in an exchange or aren't looking to pay the tax but are looking for a solution, please reach out to me. Be happy to fill you in on the information and kind of walk you through the process and be a resource to you. So thank you, everybody, and look forward to the presentation.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ken. Thank you for all your help and all your support for our chapter as well. So thank you. And Earl McCubry. Earl.
Hello, everyone. Earl McCubry from Fidelity Bancorp Funding. And we're a commercial real estate mortgage brokerage in Santa Ana. And we do a lot of owner-occupied properties, but we do a lot of investment properties, things like apartment buildings, industrial properties and warehouses, quite a variety of office buildings, quite a variety of commercial properties. And so we work with a lot of different underwriters, because these days, so many lenders are so extremely specific about the way that they do things that it can be difficult for somebody to find the best combination of rates and terms for what it is they're trying to do. So we're a brokerage, and we figure these loans out and come up with the best solution for people. So lots of very competitive rates, certainly rates on apartment buildings and even on industrial buildings down in the mid to low 3% range right now. And it's probably going to stay there for a bit. We also have a separate bridge loan fund that we fund internally, and it's the boss's money. So we lend up to 70%, 65 or 70% on, depending upon the type of property it is, interest only for 12 to 24 months. And so we do those internally. So looking for people who need to refinance properties or people who need to purchase properties, and difficult situations are fine, so they're welcome. So Earl McCubry, Fidelity Bancorp Funding. Thanks very much.
Earl, thank you so much. Thank you for everything you do for our chapter. And so once again, want to thank each of our sponsors. There's no way we could do the things that we do without our sponsors. If anyone has any questions regarding what you heard from any of them, or if you just want to chit chat and just kind of pick their brain, they're all open for business. They would love to hear from you, and we definitely want to support them as much as they're supporting our chapter. So again, all our sponsors, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. It's been amazing working with each of you. So thank you so much. And so with that, we're going to turn it over to Mr. Jim Palmer. Just a little something about Jim. I met Jim, gosh, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, through CCIM. I think we were in Chicago when we first met. And that's when I really got an opportunity to learn a little bit more about the 10X platform. And since then, I've had an opportunity to sell multiple properties under platform, and I can tell you through experience, it's been a wonderful experience for myself along with the clients that we worked with. And so we're very excited to have Jim with us today. We think it's very timely, especially with the new acquisition between CoStar and 10X. There's definitely some additional tools that are available for us, and want to get a better understanding on how those tools could help out those that are in the commercial real estate industry. And so with that, Mr. Jim Palmer, why don't you go ahead and take it away? Jim, you there? Jim? There you are.
Gary, can you hear me?
We hear you. It sounds like you have two devices on at the same time, so we have an echo.
Yeah. I'm gonna stop. Hold on. Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Okay. Jim, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? It's echo.
Okay, we still have that. We still have that echo.
All right, know what I'm gonna do. All right. I just left. I was on two devices, so I could kind of broadcast up on a bigger screen. But can you hear me okay right now?
Yeah, I hear you. Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Let me share. Let me share. Thank you for your patience.
There you are. And just as a heads up while Jim's getting ready, if anyone has any questions, go ahead and use the Q&A chat box that we have available there. We'll go ahead and sprinkle in those questions as they come in. At the end of our, I guess, discussion, and because the format that we're going to do today is basically somewhat of a discussion between myself and Jim. I got a few questions here that I have ready for Jim. And mainly what I want to do is provide as much information to everyone that's on the call to get a better understanding as to what 10X does and how we could use them as an additional tool for our business. And so Jim, you good to go?
Yeah, I'm good. As long as my audio is good. Can you hear me all right?
Your audio is great. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. So Gary, I know that you and I talked, and we'll get into a Q&A. Figured I'll just kick it off real briefly, and then we'll kind of jump in. I guess you could, this ties into your first question that you and I discussed around kind of what we're seeing. And at the end of the day, 10X is on the front lines of the investment sales transaction space as we hold auctions every 2 weeks. And so my goal today is just to provide insights into that middle market area where we primarily focus, the sub 25 million. We've seen all of our buy side metrics up year over year, and then more importantly, post-COVID over pre-COVID. So while we've seen really good pricing and execution, as you can see here in the 112% of reserve. Reserve is the minimum amount that our sellers are willing to accept when they bring their assets to our platform with the broker. Since COVID, so March through June, we've averaged 112% of sales price of those reserves. And candidly, we've also seen much more willingness from the sellers to meet the market. So, while every deal is unique in its current status, there are several themes forming, and I felt it would be appropriate just to kind of share our perspective as to what we're seeing. As you can see here, we've sold 200 assets in the 4 months. And all of these kind of buy side metrics, average bidders per asset, average NDA signed. So I'll kind of walk through all of those stats, not all of them, but I'll walk through the ones that I think are noteworthy and that I would want to know if I were you guys. But still, from a thematic standpoint, what we're seeing, there remains significant liquidity in the middle market space among the high net worth investors and family offices, the unknown and the unlevered investors that our platform brings. As I mentioned before, average number of NDAs or CAs signed and average number of approved bidders here is up post-COVID. And with each auction, the numbers have increased with more than actually 10 bidders on average in our last event. We're selling both stabilized and value add distressed assets. However, the pricing actually isn't all that distressed given the amount of dry powder on the sidelines and demand to own hard assets and commercial real estate. There's significant capital chasing these deals, especially the small balance deals. On average, as you can see, we sold 335 deals. No, we brought 335 deals to the platform. We sold 200 of them for a trade rate of 60%. On average, that's $2.3 million. We've sold $20 million deals. We've sold a bunch of, $800,000 deals. But at the end of the day, in the last 4 months, it's really been a lot of the small balance stuff that sellers are just really anxious to get off their books. And and kind of move on. But what has been interesting, how, you know, while the average deal size in the last 4 months has been, you know, $2 to $2.3 million, as the deal value increases, because we have, you know, out of 200 deals, there's been a fair amount of $5, $10, $15 million deals. As the deal size increases, we've actually seen an increase in web page views, CA signed, and approved bidders. So, you know, these investors are looking to put more capital to work for higher quality real estate assets, which has been interesting to see. You know, 100% performance rate in the last few auctions, more than 50 assets sold, experienced 100% performance of buyers signing the purchase and sale agreement immediately following the auction, and then posting their 10% non-refundable deposit within 24 hours. So really busier than we've ever been, uncertain times to say the least, but the platform was formed in 2009 in the Great Recession, and we were really helping a lot of banks, mortgage servicers, and institutional sellers move their kind of distressed value-add assets through those uncertain times. And so we'll talk about it more, Gary, about kind of the process and how we create more uncertainty, but I mean, how we create more certainty of close for those sellers. But that's just kind of a high level, some themes that we're seeing, and then obviously kind of buy side demand and those metrics that you can see here.
Hey Jim, you have a lot of wonderful information here. I mean, this is amazing data for you to share, so I want to thank you for that. Just for those that may not be as familiar with 10X, you know, maybe as some of us, you know, can you maybe give us a quick overview of what 10X and, you know, what the company is about?
Yeah. So as I briefly mentioned, born out of 2009, formerly known as auction.com. The commercial side of the business, we rebranded to 10X Commercial in 2016 after Google Capital invested in 2015. And they said, hey, you know, this was 2015. We had made our way out of the Great Recession. We started to trade a lot more non-distressed assets. And it was their opinion that we really need to kind of divorce ourselves from the auction stigma of distressed real estate in 2016. So that's when we rebranded to 10X Commercial. 2017, Thomas H. Lee Partners bought auction.com and 10X Commercial. We were one company at the time for $1.2 billion. And then we officially split the companies. So auction.com is a residential platform that still focuses on distressed residential real estate, selling on behalf of kind of banks and special servicers. And then 10X Commercial is a, you know, online auction transaction platform that, as I mentioned, historically started with the value add distressed, gradually moved out of that as we've been the recipients, all of us, of a really strong commercial real estate market for the last 10 years. And now with the uncertainty and candidly, you know, I'll talk about the CoStar acquisition at the end, but that was a significant impetus for CoStar and Andy Florence to acquire 10X. They just saw, you know, the commercial uncertainty in the commercial real estate market, and they anticipate a number of a significant increase in distressed real estate, and that bodes well for our transaction platform. Everything is sold through an online auction. It's a very, very rapid and aggressive marketing campaign for 45 days. It all culminates into a 2-day auction where every bidder, as you can kind of, you know, so our nomenclature here, average bidders, and approved bidders, those are people that have been fully vetted out, have shown liquid proof of funds to perform. We don't want bad actors. We don't want looky-loos. We don't want people that can't actually take it down. So our job is to aggressively market to the largest pool of probable buyers. We then, you know, we take a very data-driven approach. We then bring those qualified buyers that have shown proof of funds and the ability to take it down. In partnership with the broker, we help them, you know, the broker has to sell the real estate. We have to have a broker on every single deal. The broker's job is to be the local expert, speak to the cap rate, lease rate, local market, and help sell the value of the real estate, help share the story of the real estate and the motivation of the seller. So these bidders can come on auction day and put their best foot forward. And ultimately, the PSA, so we take the traditional transaction and flip it on its head, as opposed to just submitting an LOI, tying it up, then underwriting it, then potentially retrading you. We do the opposite. We put all of the due diligence in the online vault up front. We order professional photography on our dime. We'll order a phase one. We order a property condition assessment. And then we populate the due diligence vault with a really robust due diligence package so anybody can underwrite this asset, whether they're overseas, which we have a number of international buyers, or whether they're cross country. And especially nowadays with COVID, with lack of travel, with the inability to actually go and maybe tour properties, where it's just always been a part of our best practices, but it's proving to be helpful in this environment where we have really robust due diligence and giving people to the ability to underwrite it, put their best foot forward. Winning bidder has to execute the purchase and sale agreement within 3 hours of being the winning bidder. Then they wire 10% earnest money deposit, go hard, which I mentioned earlier. And everything is a 30-day cash close, no contingencies. So it's really, the strategy is to get in a listing from list to close in under 90 days, bring qualified buyers, mitigate all risk in the transaction, hold them accountable, hold their feet to the fire, and make them perform with very seller-friendly terms, and get the best execution for the seller and broker. Long-winded answer. Was that good enough, Gary?
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you for that. And so it's wonderful information. My time working with 10X, I mean, it's been a wonderful platform, and I mean, it's been really nice to have all contingencies waived, from a buyer, from day one that they start bidding on the asset. So that's been awesome. Just kind of give you some color, Jim, as far as our attendees that are here. I get a list of all of them, and as a heads up, the majority of them naturally here are commercial real estate brokers, but we do have a mix of property managers, some asset managers, property managers, I see CPAs, and some attorneys. And so just kind of give you a flavor as far as those that are participating on today's calls. And maybe to give you some additional flavor, what I did is I put together a little poll. This poll is basically going to ask everyone that's participating in today's event is, what type of property are clients looking for currently at this time? And this is a multiple choice answer. So if you have a client that's looking for more than one type of property, whether it's hotel, industrial, land, a mobile home park, multifamily, office, retail, self-storage, or single-family homes, if you would, just put your answer in there, and then we'll go ahead and share this poll so we at least get an idea as to the appetite that at least those that are on the call, the type of properties that seem to be most active or most sought out at this time. And so we'll go ahead and close this thing out in 5 seconds. And so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll go ahead and share the results so we all get a chance to see it. Share the results. And so,
multifamily.
All right.
Look at that. So Gary, it's interesting. Multifamily, if you move that over a little, I'll move it over. We show only 13 of the 200 assets in the last 4 months were multifamily, but we have other metrics that I'm not showing per asset class on this slide that we just don't have enough supply to satisfy the demand. It's insane. The average number of bidders for multifamily product has been 18. That's 18 qualified buyers that have fully vetted out, shown proof of funds. We've averaged 123% of execution above reserve for multifamily product. It's just, we just don't have enough product to satisfy the demand. And then industrial, you'll see here, that's kind of right in the middle, 21%, 21 deals for 70 million. That's kind of right in the wheelhouse of what we're doing as well. So we're pretty well spread across all food groups here, as you can see, but I would definitely say the multifamily demand is insane.
Wonderful. Well, Thank you, Jim. I know you have some more slides here, so why don't you go ahead and continue?
Sure. So, you and I were talking and you were asking, hey, what's your average, or are there any deal size or any seller behavior trends that, I feel like I'm locked up. Well, there we go. Can you see that? So Gary and I were talking and it was like, hey, give us a feel. Let's let our viewers get a feel for any, size of deals or seller behavior trends, just to kind of be better aware. And I would tell you, while the deal size they haven't necessarily changed. That's been pretty consistent. We've noticed that sellers have absolutely been willing to drop their reserve price between 10 to 20% compared to pre-COVID. So meaning, like, while it's common for sellers to drop their reserve in the closing minutes of an auction to meet the market to ensure that sale, we've seen sellers much more willing to do so post-COVID as opposed to holding firm on their pricing. So that kind of bid to ask spread, sellers are way more willing to meet the market, which as brokers and real estate professionals, that's great, right? That's always the biggest challenge is that spread. And so this kind of breaks down geographically. Midwest, we've always done well just because it's those, a lot of secondary, tertiary markets where these assets need a little more exposure to gain, a larger buyer pool. Southwest is always strong. So in our own backyard, while historically it hasn't been, there's always great demand, and you can see the top property states, California is in the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then our top investors are all, so the largest pool of investors on our platform come from California. And then California is the assets within California rank amongst our top 6 states for sales. But I will tell you, in light of what we're seeing, we think, there's just going to be way more inventory coming onto our platform in the Southwest. And something else that's kind of noteworthy around just 50% of the buyers are from out of state. We've historically, that's been a stat that's been consistent for us. That's about the same as you saw the averages on the last slide. Similar breakdown from out of state buyers. But interesting here, showing 85% of the buyers are coming from 10X marketing. So while we partner up with brokers, and we always encourage the brokers to continue to market to your known buyers, your own database of buyers, we're finding that in a different meeting, we don't have enough time today, but I'll be more than happy to peel off with anybody one-on-one and show you our dashboard, which is a really powerful tool that enables you to manage gauge all marketing, all traction, manage all your leads in one dashboard as a broker, and then report back to your seller on a weekly basis, just showing them, hey, here's the progress. This is how many CAs were signed. Here's some really detailed information about these buyers. We're finding that 85% of the buyers are ultimately coming from the marketing efforts of 10X, and 80% of our buyers are first-time buyers. So big, that's a huge stat. The fact that, we've been around for 10 years. We have a bunch of loyal buyers that continue to come back to the platform, but there's just continual new buyers, net new buyers hitting every 2 weeks on these auctions. What else? You and I had talked about, I can speak to the other.
Actually, regarding the buyers, Jim, this is a question more as far as what I've been seeing and the calls that I've been fielding from the type of buyers that I've been receiving. And, a typical statement that I've been getting is, Gary, I'm actively looking, or our group is actively looking, we're looking for a great property. We're looking for a situation right now. We're looking for a property that basically we could buy under market. And so regarding the type of buyers or the quality of buyers that are on your platform, I guess what percentage of your buyers would you say that are quality, and some that are just looking for, to steal a property out of, under someone's feet?
Yeah, good question. Obviously, I've never met a buyer that's not trying to get a deal, right? So, the underlying principles of real estate are, try and buy it low and sell it high. And so clearly every buyer that comes to our platform is the goal is to buy it right. And nonetheless, when we're asking buyers to buy under the terms and conditions that we make them do, right? It's a very seller-friendly platform, as we discussed earlier with, it's really the seller's PSA, it's non-negotiable. You're buying it as is, whereas, and no contingency. So we're asking these buyers to really, probably operate out of their comfort zone with very seller-friendly terms. So with that comes, a certain level of discount that one would want as a buyer. Having said that, it's good old-fashioned supply and demand, right? And the demand has been up, so is grown so significantly for us in the last 4 months with the liquidity in those small balance deals. And so with an average, if you only have 3 people competing in an auction for a piece of real estate, a given deal, then that decreases your chances of getting, maximum pricing and execution. So with the average number of bidders growing to 8 per deal, more recently 9, 10, 11 for these multifamily assets, 18, 20 registered bidders, it's just a competition game. So that while they're all coming with the hopes of stealing a deal, with the hopes of trying to buy it right, the data is showing that through the sheer competition and demand for this, they're having to step up. Now, are they trying to bake in the COVID discount? Absolutely. Is there uncertainty? Absolutely. Do they deserve the right to bake in that discount in their offers? Yes, but it's been a bit of an anomaly in that through the demand, we're just seeing more competition and people being forced to have to pay a little bit more than what they would probably be comfortable doing. And so that's what I would say to that.
Great. And so a broker, okay. So I think if you're a broker, especially if you've been doing this long enough, you probably have multiple properties that you put up on the market, with high aspirations, to quickly sell it to a well-qualified buyer with multiple offers on the table. It doesn't always pan out that way for us brokers. And sometimes we have listings that sit out there a little bit longer than what we hoped for and anticipated. And so when should a broker consider or thinking about reaching out to you and to the 10X platform to try to put a listing up on 10X?
Good question. Get it all the time. Obviously, my initial answer is before you go to market. That would be my desired approach because now we don't have a stale listing. We don't have a stale story, a negative story in the market that we have to overcome. So in an ideal world, we have brokers that have just been using the platform for so long. As a Collier's broker, Barry Swatzenbarg in Detroit, Michigan, he has sold 150 deals for $900 million. He just brings every deal. He doesn't care what the makeup of it is. He just likes being able to get in and out of deals in 90 days and get paid. And he says, I can do 10 to 15 more deals a year by just leveraging the process. But he's an anomaly. So I would tell you, in an ideal world, earlier the better, so we can go to market together and create a really good story around the asset. And we can, leverage our investor database of 400,000. Which I'll kind of speak to later. We can create a story and a really compelling marketing plan to go to market and then drive the biggest pool. Having said that, it's really common for us to have brokers that try it the traditional way, try and sell it on your own. I would tell you, it makes sense to go the traditional route if it's a really sought after asset and you just know you're going to be, if you can get a couple offers within the first 2 to 3 weeks, God bless America, don't use 10X, go the traditional route. But I do advise, if you just think it's going to be one where you're just not sure that you have that known buyer, if you're not confident that you have that buyer within your network, I would encourage you to come earlier so we can go to market together having said that, you know, we do overcome some tough stories, and people do come to us when their listing's about to expire. So it's a new, fresh look to go back to your seller and say, hey, I got a new strategy. I highly suggest we go and put it on 10X. It's a dynamic, you know, platform that brings in buyers from across the world, enables you to get in and out of the deal in 90 days. We think it'll be a new, fresh strategy and a fresh look. So we see brokers do that. We see you coming in when you haven't been able to sell it on your own. And then we see other brokers come in earlier in the game, which ultimately increases our chances for success.
We have a question here, and just again, for all the participants here, we want to try to make this as interactive as possible. So if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them in the Q&A box. We could also bring you in live. So if you want to come in live and ask your question, just put up your hand and we'll patch you in. But we have a question here from Alex Coe. He says that even though every transaction is unique, can you explain the disparity between the high unsold bid reserve and the trade rate?
I'm not clear. So the high, let me go back to.
Yeah.
So the high unsold, unsold high bid to reserve. So of the deals that didn't sell, the average high bid, so say the reserve was $1 million, the average bid would have been $670,000 for the deals that's unsold. For the deals that did sell, we were able to get 12% higher than what the reserve was. So he's asking why such a high disparity. Really good question. I would say while we say no to 50% of the deals, so we try and be really diligent on the front end to avoid these outliers. So granted, it's only 40% of the deals, but nonetheless, that's still, so we say no to 50% that brokers bring to us. Brokers bring us deals and say, hey, seller, we think it's worth $3 million. Seller thinks it's worth 3.9. He owes 3.5 and he's not willing to budge a penny below. He can't lose money on the deal. But broker really has a pulse on that market and says, no, I just don't think it's going to trade for more than 3. We would then partner up and just say, you know, it's just not a good fit for the platform. So I would say, while we try to do our best to really say no to deals that we don't think are going to be successful, there's always ones that you just say, no, we should take a shot on this one. We think it's really sellable. We think the seller is motivated enough, and we think we can bring a market, and hopefully the seller will flex on auction day. Hopefully in that last scenario that I brought you, hopefully, you know, through the 45-day marketing period in partnership with the broker, we can condition that seller to fully come to grips with the fact that, hey, the market for this is really only about 3 million. You know, we roll the dice at times too. And we say, you know what, could be a strategic seller, could be somebody that we know have 15 assets behind it and they're testing us on one. So we're more inclined to say, hey, we think this one's gonna be a tough one to trade, but we'll take a risk and we'll do it. Could be a really high profile broker that is testing us out as well on a crappy asset and they have other assets behind it. So there's a number of reasons as to why we would potentially take on a deal that we're not overly excited about and the odds don't stack up for them. But it's a good question. And that's ultimately, this is just what the data shares. This is what the data is.
And Alex has a follow-up question to that, and just looking for some clarity. So his question is, to clarify, is the 40% that did not sell, were those deals because the pricing or the reserve was just too high for the buyers that are participating?
Great question. So it didn't sell because reserve was not met. So whether that be a function of the reserve was too high and we couldn't, you and me, the broker and 10X couldn't educate the broker on the front end to get them to set a realistic reserve, and we still rolled the dice nonetheless. And we said, you know what, we think we'll be able to educate them over the 45-day marketing period and have them come down. And either that didn't happen, or for whatever reason, the market didn't show up. Like I got this piece of land on the market right now up in just outside Spokane, Washington. It's with a local broker there. It's 36 acres, beautifully, retail and industrial zone. It's on Highway 2, which is a major east-west artery going into Spokane. They got 2 casinos in the area. Amazon distribution center just went in. International airport right there. Air Force Base, like all of these drivers that would say we're going to get, and we have, I think we have close to 1,000 people have gone on to the property page and looked at it. But for whatever reason, we only have 20 CAs signed. We would normally have 100 CAs signed. So I can't tell you why this 36-acre piece of really desirable land, and it's just outside Spokane, Washington, isn't resonating with the market. For whatever reason, there's just, I guess I could come up with some reasons, but nonetheless, we just thought there were enough drivers to roll the dice and bring it on. And so that just happens. You know what I mean? You can't bat 1,000. But it's a function of the reserve being too high, or for whatever reason, the buyers just didn't come out for that specific piece of real estate.
And Jim, we have a question here from William Hugren, and I think this kind of goes along with a question that I have. And so his question is, has anything changed with the 10X platform the last few years for brokers and sellers? But let me add something to that.
Yep.
How important are brokers to this auction process as well?
Yeah, I mean, Gary and I have talked. I mean, I'm responsible for building out our entire broker strategy for 10X over the last 4 years. We've signed enterprise agreements with firms like Cushman & Wakefield and HFF, now JLL. More recently in January of this year, we just rolled out, and we felt like that strategy was flawed by kind of partnering up with the house. It didn't necessarily trickle down to the individual broker. And so we pivoted, we moved a different direction. We just rolled out a broker partnership program starting in January of this year that just motivates and incentivizes the individual broker. So I don't care if you're from Lee & Associates, Coldwell Banker, Remax, or JLL. If you have listings and you're bringing them to the platform and they qualify to be, brought on and sold via the auction, we want to reward brokers for that. And I'll piggyback this other question about how we get paid. So we get paid by the buyer. It is free for the listing broker, and it is free for the seller. Not only is it free for you guys, so your listing agreement would be the same with or without us. So it's the same. If anything, you increase your chances to double end the deal, because 70% of our buyers that come to the platform come unrepresented on the buy side. So as a listing broker, you increase your chances to double end the deal. And secondly, your listing agreement stays the same with or without us. So there's no cost to the seller. And we pay for professional photography, drone footage. We front the cost for a phase 1 and a PCA. So our interests are aligned. We get paid upon success by the buyer. And that's a 5% buyer's premium. So with this new broker partnership program, we're offering to brokers that are loyal and are leveraging the platform. It's a volume-based kind of tiered approach. There's a bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. And so for deals 1 through 5, we'll share 10% of our fee, that 5% buyer's premium, back with the broker. Deals 6 to 10, we'll share 20% of our fee back. Deal 11 to 15, we'll share 30% of our fee. And then deal 16 and above, we share 40%. So it ends up being a 3-2 split. We'll give 2 points back to the broker. And this is a lifetime deal. It's not an annual achievement type status. So for the Barry Swatzenbargs of the world, the Colliers guy that's doing tons of deals, out the gate, he's getting 2 points from 10X to either pass on to the seller to offset his listing agreement fee, or he's putting it in his pocket, or he's doing whatever he wants. But there is an absolute commitment to the brokerage community. Gary and I, we talked about it. I've had really good real estate that the seller has put the broker on, right? So a lot of our institutional sellers come to us and they say, hey, I want to use this broker, put this broker on the deal. And that broker is not overly enthused to be using 10X for whatever reason, and he or she wants to do it on his own and do it the traditional way. We could have really, really good piece of real estate with a highly motivated seller willing to meet the market, but for whatever reason, the broker just isn't doing his or her job. They're not making the calls. They're not following up with the leads. They're whispering pricing guidance to the buyers, which is kind of a no-no in the auction process, right? We don't want to whisper what the reserve price is. We want to encourage everybody to show up. So the broker makes or breaks the deal. And I'm not just saying that because I'm addressing a lot of brokers on this phone call. The data proves it. Really good real estate with a non-participatory broker historically is a challenge. And then we can have a really crappy piece of real estate with a kick-ass broker, and we overcome odds and end up trading.
So Jim, we have a couple of minutes here, and I do want to get to the acquisition between CoStar and 10X. Before I do, just looks like Nita has a question. Do you do stuff in Thailand, or would you do vacant land, 169 acres in Kern County?
Yeah, so we do not sell foreign property, but we sell U.S. property to a lot of foreign buyers. Now with the CoStar acquisition, Andy Florence has said he wants to provide our platform to foreign countries. We're just not there yet. So the answer is yes. In the future, we will be selling international real estate, but no today. And then for the land in Kern County, I would say yes. But once again, if it's unentitled land, that's going to be hard for a buyer to get their head around it in 45 days and then put an offer in and close on 30 days. And I would tell you no. But like I mentioned, we had really good land up in Washington that's fully entitled, easy to get your hands around. And so we took it on. So feel free to reach out to me directly and we can kind of discuss the deal.
Okay, and sometime during here, Jim, maybe you could just put in your contact information in the chat box so everyone could get that.
Yep.
And so another question from Fabiola Kinder. She states that I've never used your platform. For businesses that are in a box like hotels, do you handle NDAs, especially regarding goodwill, employees, and financials?
Hold on. So repeat that again. You cut out. So I just want to see. I'm trying to read it, but I don't see it. Let me see.
Okay.
So businesses that are in a box,
to
like hotels, we trade a ton of hotels. Obviously, with what's going on in the industry right now. Do you handle NDAs, especially regarding goodwill? Yes. So the short answer is yes. Call me and we can discuss any individual deal, but we have more hotel buyers historically on the platform. Right now, there's just such pent up demand for multifamily, but historically we've traded as many hotels as anyone. We have just a huge international, mostly from India, or in Asia general, a huge buyer database for hotels.
Wonderful. Okay, and so regarding the acquisition between 10X and CoStar, and so if someone has a listing that they are about to put up on the market, or they're talking to a property owner about having this thing go live, and so should a broker be reaching out to their CoStar rep, or should they be calling you, about listing it up on the 10X platform?
Yep. No, good question. Either. So if you happen to be like for Kim, for example, if you've got a good relationship with Kim and you're talking to him on a regular basis and you have a piece of real estate that you think is a good fit for the auction, then by all means reach out to Kim and Kim will reach out to me. But we're still a standalone company. We're a CoStar owned company. So while Kim and the rest of the CoStar reps will be trained on the auction and they'll be referring business over to us, we are still, the auction experts, and we would be the ones that would hold your hand to walk you through the process to help you understand whether or not the deal's a fit for the platform. So I would encourage you to reach out to us directly, but we will continue to integrate and work more closely with the 10X reps. Do you want me to speak to the acquisition a little bit, Gary, before we sign off?
Yes, please. Yes.
So, a lot of the question that everybody's asking is, how does the CoStar ownership enhance the 10X platform? Should we be scared? What's going on? So people have always been scared of 10X for whatever reason, the brokers. I think, I don't know, for whatever reason. I think for good reason, because, 10 years ago, our owners kind of were not as passionate about growing the business through the brokers. And there were some tough experiences for brokers 8 to 10 years ago. Since then, we've completely, reverted to building broker-specific incentive programs, strategic partnerships, which I talked about. So brokers are vital to our business. And CoStar has a similar reputation in that, you know, a lot of brokers feel like they're getting too big or it's a monopoly, but nonetheless, you know, Andy Florence said to us, my lifeblood is the broker. And that's what we do, is try and create data and tools for the broker. So this acquisition, while we have a lot of people that are nervous about 10X individually, CoStar individually, and now collectively, I've been part of, you know, strategic meetings around our roadmap moving forward. And all I can tell you is that it's just, yeah, we want to just create tools for the brokers. We want to grow our business to and through the brokerage community. We have no desire to be a broker. We have no desire to take on the liability. Gary kind of asked me that one off. Like, should we be fearful that you're going to take over? We don't want to. We're a technology platform. CoStar is a data provider. We have zero desire to take on the liability. We have zero desire to go tour an asset, and we have zero desire to go do what you guys do. That's what you're necessary to the success of what we all do. You know, as it pertains to how we may benefit from the CoStar acquisition, we've always prided ourselves on our investor database of 400,000 and then the data that we have on those buyers. Now we have access to the most robust data set in commercial real estate to expose any 10X asset to the largest pool of probable buyers. And every listing on 10X will receive diamond level advertising on LoopNet, which I'm going to let Kim speak to real quickly. But before he jumps on, I'll just note that Andy Florence, the founder, emphasized to us that we're just another tool, as I mentioned, and a disposition strategy that CoStar can provide to the brokers. And if he intends to bring our buyers premium, so that 5-point fee, he intends to bring that down to lighten the overall load on the deal. And we've just been really impressed with his strategy, the reasons why he acquired us, and the path moving forward. But as it pertains to it, I touched on, every listing on the 10X platform has access to, diamond level advertising, which in some geographies can cost upwards to $10,000. So this is free to anybody that uses 10X. So I'll let Kim jump in and kind of speak to this real quick.
Yeah, and thanks for that information, Jim. As far as the integration of the data, that's going to be happening down the line, and I think that's going to be extremely valuable to all our users. But as I previously mentioned, LoopNet, it's the most visited website online for investors looking for commercial real estate. We average over 7.5 million unique visitors a month, and it's actually an increase of over 125% over this time last year. And that's a combination of our increased aggregate marketing spend, but with the pandemic, there's a lot less physical touring happening. And so people are making a lot of those decisions online. And what's important about, advertising your property online is to actually include great media, having rich media content, things like 3D Matterport tours, photography, drone video. And for listings that have that type of media, we've seen over 250% more time spent looking at those listings. And so, 10X has always been a big customer of ours, paying for this higher tier advertising for their auctions on LoopNet. So with the acquisition, naturally, we decided to promote these auctions on LoopNet at the higher tier, which is the diamond level exposure. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the different listing ad levels on the CoStar platform, there's a basic ad which only appears on the CoStar platform, where if you have access to CoStar, you can see those listings. That's usually 100% of the active listings on the market. LoopNet, for those of you who still don't understand the difference, LoopNet is only a marketing platform. So you're not seeing 100% of everything that's available. Depending on the property type in the market, could be anywhere between 40 to 60%. But on LoopNet, there's 4 different ad levels. There's the silver ad level, which is the minimum you need to get on LoopNet. And then going higher from there, there's the gold level advertising, platinum level, and then diamond, which is going to be the highest. And, they appear as they sound. Diamond's going to show up at the front page when somebody searches for, a property to buy or invest in. And on Google, pushes them over to LoopNet. And then when they're on LoopNet, they're looking, and they're going to see the diamond ads first. That's going to be front and center, which is just a ton of additional exposure on those properties. Again, it's not necessary to necessarily get a 10x auction on the board to get that diamond level advertising. You can purchase that for your properties, and those will actually, depending on how much you pay, will probably rank higher than some of the 10x listings. But the 10x listings will provide, that higher tier advertising, and it's usually a shorter time frame as well. So, but we've also included, so integration wise, in addition to showing up higher, we've included some of that auction information on the listing. If you go back, so when the auction starts, how many days until that auction. If you go to the next slide, on the CoStar platform, actually platinum and diamond level advertising sorts to the top of CoStar search results as well. So what you'll see if you're a CoStar user and you go into the platform, you'll see these 10x listings show up at the top. And then if you look at that card, it'll say auction sale as well. That's a searchable field in CoStar. So if you guys ever want to see all the different auctions on there, and you can't find it, just ask me. I'll tell you where to find that information. But yeah, it shows up on the map view and the list view as well. If you have any questions about, any of this, let me know. But this, the initial integration, it's really going to be about, let's get more exposure to these listings. Let's promote these auctions more and get more traffic to them. I think the next phase is really going to be about integrating that data and providing that to you guys.
So if I'm looking for nothing but auction property, should I go to 10x.com or should I go to CoStar?
Well, 10x for sure is going to have much more detailed information about those listings. But if you are looking on CoStar and you see a 10x listing, or it just kind of drives you to, okay, well, let's go get more information about this on 10x. It's not fully integrated where you can just click on it and then get all the information and all the details. But you'll still have the sale information, the listing information that's going to be on the platform. All right,
Jim, I'm looking at the time here, and we're getting pretty close if we're not there. But do you have any closing remarks, Jim or Kim?
No, I mean, Kim, thank you for that. I think he spoke perfectly about what's available today. I would tell you that the best way to engage is just to reach out to me and say, hey guys, I got a listing that I think might be a fit. There's no commitment on your end. We have an internal ops team that will take a look at it. So we'll usually get back to you within 24 to 48 hours and say, hey, we think this is a fit, or we have some follow-up questions, or it doesn't look like it's a fit. So there's really nothing ventured, nothing gained on your end. Where here's a free tool to help you get better exposure and execution. And reach out to me if you want to demo the dashboard, get a better look at, well, what would it look like to do a deal? I mean, that's a good natural next step is, Jim, I give you this listing. We want to partner up. Like, how do I talk to my seller? How do I explain to my seller why we're coming to 10X, right? Or what's the value of the partnership of the broker and 10X together? How do I, so that's something I can hold your hand to help you fully understand and deliver to the seller. And then once you get over that, it's like, well, what's it look like to do a deal? And I can give anybody a demo of our dashboards and show you the tools and the leads tab and everything that you have to be able to track the deal and then report back to your seller. So that's all I'll end there. I appreciate everyone's time.
Yeah, and just last question from Willie. Do you do business sales, or is it just it's all properties?
Yeah, so real estate. So we wouldn't sell the business where it's the real estate is what we. I mean, obviously, we're selling the real estate with the business as well, right? So whether it be a net lease, single asset deal, single tenant deal, but just real estate itself.
Got it. And just for all my fellow brokers out there, I guess from my experience, from me going through the platform, it's been a wonderful experience on my end. And so I think if anything, just getting a better understanding on how an auction platform would work. So when you are talking to your sellers and just kind of giving them the different tools and different options that are out there, you'd be better versed as to understand as to the different ways you could sell a property. And I can tell you, just understanding how 10X has done it regarding providing the contingency information, and you know, to the prospective buyers, it's helped me, I believe, become a better broker for my listings as well. And so I really appreciate 10X. I really appreciate CoStar, and I appreciate your time, Jim, along with everyone who participated today. And so if anyone has any questions, you have Jim's information right there. You know how to get a hold of Kim Tran. If you have any questions, again, you get a hold of me or anyone part of our SoCal CCIM team, and we'll be the best resource that we possibly can. We're here to help, and we definitely want to help out as much as we can, especially during this time. And the more we unite, the better off we're going to be, is what I believe. And so Jim, thank you again so much for your time. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you for everything you do. And I'll be seeing you around soon. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. All right, everyone. Thank you.